Hi guys, welcome to our channel Physio Vibes Anatomy. This is the part 2 of the hip joint. Those who did not see the first part, I'm giving the link in the description. You can watch that before seeing the part 2. So let's start. Now let's see the relations of the hip joint. That is, what are the structures present around the hip joint. So first we'll be seeing the anterior relations. Anterior relations, what are the structure present there? It will be the iliopsoas muscle and its bursa. Iliopsoas muscle is present anterior to the joint, and a bursa will be present between the iliopsoas muscle and the hip joint. And femoral artery, femoral vein and femoral nerve. These four structures will be present anterior to the joint. Here you can see the relations: anterior, posterior, superior and inferior. Anterior relations are the iliopsoas muscle and the femoral nerve, artery and vein. And the posterior relations of the hip joint, what are the structures present behind the hip joint, will be the obturator externus, the tendon of obturator externus. This muscle is also coming inferior to the joint. It will be present there also. So here in the posterior relation, the tendon of obturator externus muscle, and here we have the deep muscles of the deep group muscles of the gluteal region will be present behind the hip joint, which are the piriformis and obturator internus with superior and inferior gemellus muscles. So it will be like this. This middle one is the obturator internus, above to it is superior gemellus muscle and inferior gemellus muscle. It will be like this. So these are the structures present behind the hip joint. And one of the large and important nerves of the lower limb, which is the sciatic nerve, is also present behind the hip joint. And the posterior relations are the obturator externus. As I said, it will be in the inferior region also and in the posterior side also. The tendon of the obturator externus and the piriformis muscle, the deep group of gluteal region, I said, the obturator internus muscle with two gemelli muscles. You can see here, right? Then also the quadratus femoris, and importantly the sciatic nerve, which is a very important nerve going at the back. And now the superior and inferior relations of the hip joint. Superior, the structures above to the hip joint will be the reflected head of rectus femoris muscle, rectus femoris, and the gluteus minimus. Gluteus minimus muscle is also present above the hip joint, and above to minimus will be having the gluteus medius, and above to that will be having gluteus maximus. We all know that. And the inferior relations will be the pectineus muscle, and as I said in the posterior relations, the obturator externus muscle also present inferior to the joint. The superior relations are the rectus femoris, here you can see, and the gluteus minimus. And the inferior relations are the obturator externus muscle and the tendon and the pectineus. And guys, here is the model of the hip joint as I showed you in the part 1 also. Consider it the hip joint. It will be like this, and we are going to see the relations. The anterior relations will be, as I said in the beginning, iliopsoas muscle and femoral artery, vein and nerve will be present anterior to the joint, and posterior to the joint will be obturator externus muscle and the deep group muscles of the gluteal region, piriformis, superior gemellus, inferior gemellus, obturator internus. Those structures will be present, and also the important nerve called sciatic nerve will be present at the back, right? And superior relation above to the joint will be reflected head of rectus femoris and gluteus minimus muscle. Above to minimus, medius and maximus will be there, and inferior relation of the hip joint will be the pectineus muscle and also the obturator externus, which will be like this. It forms inferior and also the posterior relation, the obturator externus muscle. This is the relation of the hip joint. Now let's see the blood supply to the hip joint. Obturator artery, two circumflex femoral arteries, lateral and medial circumflex femoral arteries, and superior and inferior, two gluteal arteries. These vessels supply the hip joint. Now you can see here, this is the upper portion of the femur, head and neck. So here you will be having the capsule we saw in the ligament sections, right? So here you will be having the capsule surrounding it, and attached to the capsule the lateral and medial circumflex femoral arteries. Those arteries will form an arterial circle, will form a circle around the capsule, and it gives off retinacular branches to the neck and head of the femur. I am repeating again, around the capsule the two circumflex femoral arteries, lateral and medial, forms an arterial circle which then supplies the head and neck of the femur through its retinacular branches. And also the head is supplied by the branch of obturator artery and medial circumflex artery, which will be supplying near the fovea capitis. This small opening is the fovea capitis. So near to it there will be supply to the head of the femur. So this is what the blood supply. These vessels supply the hip joint. And then the nerve supply, that is the innervation of the hip joint. The branches of femoral, obturator, sciatic and superior gluteal nerve supplies the hip joint, and also the nerve to quadratus femoris muscle. These nerves and its branches supply the hip joint. Now we will be seeing the movements of the hip joint. Here you have the hip joint, this is the hip joint. So we will see the movements. This movement is the flexion of hip. This is flexion, okay, and turn. And this one is extension, extension, turn. This flexion and extension are occurring in the transverse axis. The axis will be like this. Around the axis the flexion and extension at the back will be happening, okay. Then we'll move on to abduction and adduction movements. This is abduction, moving away from the body, away from the midline is abduction, and towards the medial side if you move, this is adduction. Adduction and abduction. This abduction and adduction movements will be occurring around the antero-posterior axis. The axis will be like this. So adduction and abduction will be occurring around the antero-posterior axis. So then we'll move on to the next important movements, which are the internal and external rotation of the hip. So for understanding this, I am flexing the hip and flexing the knee, okay. So we are going to use this tibia bone as the lever arm, okay. If we rotate it internally, the external rotation of the hip occurs, and if we rotate it externally, outwardly, internal rotation of the femur takes place. So internally if we rotate the lever arm, external rotation of hip, outwardly if we rotate it, internal rotation of the hip, okay. And the last important movement is the circumduction. This is nothing but the combination of all the movements: flexion, abduction, extension and adduction. This will be like this: circumduction of the hip joint. And so these are the movements of the hip joint. And the last thing is the clinical anatomy of the hip joint. One of the important clinical conditions is congenital dislocation. Congenital, we know congenital means by birth. This dislocation is very common in the hip joint than any other joint, and in this congenital dislocation the head of the femur slips upward onto the gluteal surface of the pelvic bone because of the poor development of the acetabulum. So I am just showing you now. This head of the femur from the acetabulum, it will be like this and it will go like this. It will move upwards and it will be present in the gluteal surface of the pelvic bone. This is the example of congenital dislocation. Here you can see actually the head should be in the acetabulum here, but because of the poor development of the acetabulum, the head lifts upwards, it moves upwards into the gluteal surface of the pelvic bone. This is the pelvic bone, here the gluteal surface, the head will move there. And then the second one is the acquired dislocation. This acquired dislocation is a normal dislocation. It may be posterior or anterior. Anterior dislocations of a hip joint is very rare, and posterior dislocation is very common, and in posterior dislocation there is a chance of damage to the sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve is running posterior to the hip joint, right? So if the dislocation is happening posteriorly, it may damage the sciatic nerve which is present behind. And also in the clinical anatomy we can add the fractures of the femur, especially in the neck of the femur. If fractures occurs, that will damage the retinacular arteries and vessels supplying the head and neck of the femur, which then causes the avascular necrosis.